everyone. I'm so glad that I see that the webinar is recording this time. I was telling our speaker last time we ran into a problem. So this webinar will be recorded. We will get this out to you probably about 48 to 72 hours after we finish today. But without further ado, thank you for all for being here today. I want to introduce our speaker, Dawn Heiderscheidt. And she and I were talking a little bit before. She was telling me about all the cool letters after her name and what they mean. So let me tell you a little bit about Dawn. She's a registered and licensed occupational therapist. She has an executive certification in home modification, and she is a certified aging in place specialist. She's passionate about helping people live independently in their own homes. She turned that passion into a successful mobile homes modification business when she founded Aurora Independence, leveraging her expertise in home modifications and universal design to help clients age in place. And she has gone through a lot to be with us today, so we're very thankful. I'm going to be sharing her slides for her, so if you just give me one moment, I'll pull those up. And let me get these going here, Dawn, for you. Okay, can you see everything, Dawn?
I think I can.
Okay, perfect. So I am going to stop my video and you can just tell me when to move along.
Great. Hi, everyone. So as she was saying, my name is Dawn Heiderscheidt. I am the founder of Aurora Independence. And here in Philadelphia, I do run a home accessibility and home safety consulting company. So I like to do presentations like this in order to help people understand where the potential is to support us while we age, because the truth is we're all going to age, hopefully, if we're lucky. And we really want to unlock that potential to stay as independent as we want, whatever that looks like for us. So we can go to the next slide. So what we wanted to talk about today was age tech versus smart tech. And age tech is really where I'm focusing, but I think it's important to kind of level set for a hot minute to make sure that we are all on the same page in regards to terms. Because age tech, smart tech, they tend to get thrown around. And while they sort of overlap, it's really important to understand that difference. So age tech refers specifically to a category of technology that is designed to cater to the needs of like seniors as they age. So it may actually enhance their well-being by focusing on things like fall prevention, usability, accessibility. They're designed to try to help us navigate medications and navigate the healthcare system just a little bit better. There might be like health monitoring devices. This may be like the personal emergency response systems, the help I've fallen and I can't get up commercials. That's really age tech. So age tech has been around forever. Believe it or not, walkers and canes are technically age tech because it helps people who are aging or disabilities or anything like that to function a little bit better. Smart tech, on the other hand, is a broader term. So that sort of encompasses various technological advances that want to create intelligent and interconnected systems. So this is your smart homes. These are the automatic blinds. These are the things that are supposed to make your life a whole lot easier. They're trying to do voice assistants, AI. All of these things are really smart tech. So when we talk about them, we almost want to understand what the difference is. So if we can go to the next slide, we're going to talk about similarities. The key with smart tech and age tech is that they both involve the integration of technology to enhance your life. So they are trying to improve quality of life for individuals, but they may have a different category in which they're trying to focus or where their initial goal is. I think at one of these things, I like to to talk about how a lot of times age tech is almost always smart tech, but smart tech isn't always intended to be age tech. But believe it or not, a lot of it ends up being age tech. So for example, home automation systems, those started for simplicity, right? Those were to wow your friends. They weren't meant to help seniors. But I can't tell you the number of times I'm recommending smart home technology as a way to help someone age in place. There's a lot of different ways to do it. One of my favorite examples is like the auto blinds. So when you press a button or you know a certain time of day that you always want those blinds down because the sun comes in, The way that that becomes age tech is because it actually helps with fall prevention. You might be sitting there going, what? How? I don't understand. But it's because if we think about a lot of the homes, especially here in Philadelphia, they're older. There's not a lot of space. Their layout really wasn't considering how we all want to potentially age in our homes. And so when you have to go to the blinds, what do? We have to like crawl over our couches, or we're trying to like navigate around our lamps, and we're trying to get to the cord. And it can end up being really dangerous for somebody who may have balance issues, or they're recovering from an injury, or they had an abdominal surgery. Those types of things can cause problems. So when we have something like smart tech that automated our blinds, it actually became age tech because it supported and enhanced our living. So they can sometimes kind of go over each other and overlap and kind of flip flop back and forth. And I think that's one of the reasons why we end up using those terms so often interchangeably, because in a way they almost are. So we can go to the next slide. I think let's talk about some of the differences. When we're talking about the differences, age tech specifically focuses on addressing the unique challenges faced by seniors. So this is usually mobility issues, health monitoring issues, social isolation, cognitive health. We want to make sure in age tech that we're supporting that. And there's a lot of potential there, especially with AI coming on. Man, doctors are going to start using it, I think, more. So as much as we're afraid of technology, I do think that it is sort of where our future is going, and we're going to have to address it. Age tech is really spent to help the preferences of older adults. We want to consider things like usability, accessibility, and simplicity, whereas smart tech like may just target a larger group of people and they don't really care. They're just like, hey, people, this thing exists, here it is. But age tech is going to go through a rigorous process where they're going to try to make sure that the intended user, which is usually a senior or someone who's elderly or someone who's disabled, they want to make sure that that technology works for them. Whereas smart tech, they don't really care. They're making a cool thing. They hope that they have a market for it. It's not really their goal to make sure that a target market is working for them, because everyone's their target market. Age tech may also incorporate specialized features and functionalities kind of focused on that aging population, such as like fall detection and medication reminders, things like that. Whereas smart tech may emphasize a more general connectivity, automation, customized capabilities, things like that. So as you can see, they may align in some spots and then they sort of deviate away from each other, usually based on who they're focused on and who they actually want to purchase their items. So let's go to the next slide, because why do we care? Why do we care about any of this? The key here is that healthcare costs are soaring right now. So I included this graph here so that you can see what the health expenditures have been from 1970 to 2020. And you can just see it keeps going up and up and up and up. So yes, inflation is involved in there. Yes, there's changes to healthcare. Yes, there's an aging population with boomers. Everyone is going to be over 65 by year 2030. And this is the first time that we have had more people on the upper end of our age group than people who are younger. So there's major concerns here that there is not going to be enough workforce to support our eventual aging population. And this is where the potential of age tech may come in and actually help us with this. I like to take a moment here to talk about how in Japan, they're actually trying to develop robots that can do transfers for humans. Man, this would make a huge difference if you could go and say you're an elderly person caring for another elderly person, and they need to be able to get out of bed, but you don't have the strength to do it. But if you had a robot, maybe you could. Now, that sounds terrifying and it's a very long way off, but this is where age tech is going. They are trying to develop a lot of support, because what we also found out, and this is bullet point 2, is that during COVID, almost 18% of the RN population quit. So we lost close to 20% of our healthcare population because people were tired. They had PTSD. Maybe they got laid off. Maybe it was a toxic work environment, but a lot of them quit. 12% of them lost their positions. 31 have considered leaving since then. So since the end of the pandemic, 31% of people still want to leave because they're tired. And burnout and PTSD has increased within our nursing population. So again, we have a lot of population need. We don't have a lot of the caregiver support. And that doesn't mean people don't want to work. It's that they're overworked and there's not enough of them to support the other group. So we also have to kind of think about how when you're at work and you're splitting your time between work and caring for someone, burnout is real. So we want to make sure that we're considering the fact that like some of us have sandwich generations who are taking care of us. So I was one of them. My parents were older and I was going to college at the time, and I was stuck in that caregiver role when a lot of my other loved ones and family and friends weren't there. And that was a really weird time to shift, still being a college student, asking my parents all the questions. Did you take your meds, Dad? Did you go to your doctor? What did the doctor say? And the one thing that I really wish is that some of these apps had existed, because I could have gotten that emotional reassurance that my father and mother were okay while I was still living my life, and they didn't have to hear me try to lecture them as their child. It's a weird dynamic shift. So those of you watching, my guess is a few of you have experienced this. And age tech might be able to help solve this problem, because maybe your kids don't need to call you anymore because they'll just have the information and you won't feel like you're being babied by your children. We also want to make sure that we're considering that, there's different reasons why we're doing this. And hang on one second, I lost my notes. So we also want to reduce that burden of care. I couldn't quite read that one, I apologize. Reducing that burden of care goes back to that RN and the fact that we are approaching a point where we're going to have a tipping point where more people need care than there are people in the workforce. And that is just a fact. So we need to figure out those gaps. So let's go to the next slide. What are the benefits of age tech? I've been talking a little bit about it. It can help with your independence. It can make you improve your safety. It can improve health monitoring and management. So this can help doctors as well. We all know that we go in, we have 7 minutes with the doctor and we better get out. So if you don't have your questions ready, you can feel sort of like a number. But what can start happening with these health monitoring and management systems is that doctors can be monitoring you from their office. So when you come in, they already have a general idea of what your blood pressure has been. Have you had any moments of AFib where your heart beats really fast? Are you exercising? What is your step count? They could have access to all of that. So they have a general idea of where you are in your health and activity. That could be amazing. Also, social connectivity. I work with seniors a lot. I do some work with some local nonprofits. And one of the themes that I see a lot is that seniors are lonely. A lot of my clients, they can't leave the house without help. Their family is busy. They're working and also trying to care for them. And they can't go to the adult daycare centers like they used to. They aren't able to go to their Y classes. They're worried about getting COVID, so they don't want to go out into the social activities. So age tech can really help with that. There's really cool apps. Caregiver support, we already talked about that. It can really help someone with lifting and carrying and tracking where and what people need. And it can also be really cost effective. To have an app that monitors your medications versus having to pay an aide to be there 2 to 3 hours a day may be all the difference when it comes to a budget. So it may have a very high upfront cost, but in the long run, it could end up being more affordable, especially when we start talking about fixed incomes. Can only afford so much. And while $25 a month sounds a lot, that's a whole lot cheaper than having to pay $60 an hour for a caregiver or whatever the going rate is, wherever you are, or whatever your insurance will cover. So these are just things to keep in mind. This is the benefits that we want to keep in mind as we're trying to figure out. But as there's always benefits, there's always challenges next. So on the next slide, we'll talk a little bit about challenges. The biggest challenge I see is the technological literacy. So when we think about how much technology has changed from, my father was born in 1940 versus now, huge changes. I think even from 6th grade, when I first had, an iMac, and we were some of the first adopters because my father loved technology, to even now, I had no idea that one day I would have a computer more powerful than my laptop ever was back in college or high school in my pocket at all times. So the thing is that it's exploded. And a lot of people haven't had the chance or the opportunity to keep up with it. All of you are here on Zoom, so you at least have some literacy, but some of these installations for some of these smart tech and age tech things can be really, really confusing. So what I like to bring up at this point is to remind you that there are professionals that really specialize in this. There's an entire group of people that this is their job. They assess the home, they find out what you're looking for, they tell you what the products are, they will actually install it, and then they can become your tech support. Because what's hard is sometimes we have the access and we have the usability, but maybe we don't have the affordability to pay for that tech support. So we ordered it from Amazon because it was cheap, then we got it installed, but now who do we call when that Ring camera stops working? Well, there are professionals that can help with that. So this is a really awesome thing. And we need to make sure that we are considering that when you're purchasing your age tech. So who is going to support you when you have problems? The other big issue is privacy and security. So I find that this comes up a lot when family members want to install cameras to monitor their loved one, right? But mom and dad or aunt and uncle or grandma and grandpa, they don't want a camera monitoring them all the time. Especially, we all have our own preferences. Maybe we walk around in our underwear. Maybe we don't want to have to worry about our children seeing us in a weird space. It's a legitimate concern. So what we want to consider there is what is the privacy and security that comes along with this age tech. So fall detection is huge. Fall detection costs healthcare a lot of money. So if we have a fall, it costs a lot. We have rehab costs, all of this stuff. And so insurance companies really want to reduce those falls. Monitoring has been shown to help with it, but also where does that monitoring cross over into like invasive? This is where age tech comes in. Sometimes they have really cool AI features where, yes, they have a video, but they will translate into just dots and you'll be like a stick figure in the video, things like that. But it is still a challenge, especially for late adopters. So in my opinion, a late adopter is somebody who's not really in the mood to do it, but is kind of doing it because they see the benefits, or their children are forcing it on them, or their caregivers really, really want them to do it. So they're like reluctant. We really need to consider that. Also, there's a resistance to change, right? There's the whole saying, if it's not broke, why fix it? It can feel that way too with age tech. From a personal experience, I have several clients who have told me again and again, I just fell, it's fine. Falling isn't normal. If it is happening, if you are stumbling, if you are tripping, there is an underlying cause. A lot of people fall, so we've normalized it, but that is not a normal part of aging. We always have the strength. We have the ability to make our muscle strength stronger at any age. I don't care if we're 115 or if we're 3, it is the same possibility. We do lose a little bit of flexibility as we get older. That is just part of the natural aging process, but falling isn't normal. That's something that we really need to work on. So when I have clients who are resisting, I often think it's because there's this idea that they're okay. They're really resistant to making any type of change because I've been doing it this way for 50 years and it's worked so far. What's going to happen there is we really need to kind of work on ourselves and accept that life happens, things change, and we really want to consider what the possibilities are so that we don't get stuck in a crisis moment. So let's talk about, if we're going to buy age tech, what do we need to consider? Let's move on to the next slide here. Key considerations are usability, accessibility, compatibility, reliability, support and training, and also dual purpose. Dual purpose especially I like to talk about because there is a lot of times that either a smart tech item becomes an age tech. For example, I already talked about how blinds or even smart lights can reduce your need to have to travel around all of our furniture and climb over things and reach and all of that. But it also helps us when we have dual purpose things to save money in the long run. So again, this comes from like that fall prevention side. Let's just use that one because it's the one that we always get harped on, right? When we don't have a fall in the long run, it's cheaper for us to pay $25 a month for a fall monitoring detection system than it is to actually have the fall. Or it's cheaper for us to have those blinds so that we don't have to navigate around that room, because in the long run, if we had a fall and had to call the ambulance and do the whole hospital situation, it's going to be tough. But in the moment, it can feel really difficult. So having an item in your house that can do multiple things may make it more cost effective for us. We also want to consider, again, I'm going to go back to that support and training. Whenever you're buying something, make sure that you ask about that support and training part of it. When something breaks, who do you call? Is there a warranty? How much is the warranty? How long does the warranty last? And what does a warranty cover? Those are the types of the same way you buy a car, you almost want to get into that same mindset when you're purchasing something for age tech. If not, you could have just spent a lot of money, have zero support, have no idea who you're supposed to call, and end up in a really bad situation where you feel like you just wasted your money. But if you just had that support, so again, that's where there are companies out there that exist. You really want to make sure that you talk to them. Reliability is also a big one. This is my personal opinion. Please do not keep this for yourself, but I tend to not buy the first product of anything ever because I'm just not sure how reliable it is. I have friends who kind of help with the product development side, and they do a lot, but they can't account for what happens when a new technology goes out into the world and is now with millions of people versus their case study. So for me, I think about how long has a company been around? How reliable are they in their studies? Do they share a lot of information about how they developed it? Is it a brand new company? Was it not? Was there a healthcare professional involved in the product development? Those kind of things can really impact how well that product that you're purchasing is actually going to work. How open to feedback are they? Is the customer support an AI chatbot, or is it going to be an actual person that you can talk to? That kind of goes under the accessibility and usability and also support and training. These are all things to consider. So again, this is where I like to say that there are professionals that can help you out here. If you feel overwhelmed, totally makes sense. It's a completely overwhelming situation. There's a lot of products that exist out there, but the key is to make sure that you are focused and you kind of know why you want it. So let's go to the next slide and talk a little bit about examples. When we are talking about examples of age tech, we have sensory impairments that you may need help with. You may need mobility assist. You may want scam protection. I mean, I don't know, I can't see any of you because it's a webinar, but I'm sure if I asked this, every hand would be up. Who gets phone calls a million times a day for a million different things? And right now you have 15 cars whose auto warranty has expired. Right? I get things from CVS all the time, and it's not even CVS. It's absolutely a scam. So the other thing is ride sharing, or you can get help around the house. That is technically age tech. Smart toilet seats, believe it or not, they have seats now that they're trying to develop that will have sensors so that they can tell how often you've peed, if there's anything wrong with your urine, whether or not you got up for your morning bathroom break like you normally do. And this could be really great for people who have family members who are monitoring from a distance. Maybe you're fiercely independent and you don't want someone to know that, but you're prone to UTIs. They actually have toilet seats that might start to be able to notice when all the different type of minerals in your body are changing, or if your habits change, things like that. It's kind of cool. They're also going to have smart toilets that have cleaning capabilities. So for somebody who may have mobility issues and can't turn around, they may have soap, they may have water, they may have antimicrobial options. So it's not just water shooting at you, it can actually be medication. It's really cool. That's all brand new. They're not quite out on the market yet, but I've also talked to companies that are trying to develop these things. I do see a question here about Quincy support tech for age tech. I know that Katie is going to talk about that at the end, so we will absolutely answer that question coming up soon. If any of you have additional questions and you want to type them into the question box right now, we'll do our best to take a little break before I get into some of the products so that you can ask any questions you have. So let's move on to the next slide. We have 5 essential age tech products. So I kind of went over them just a little bit before, that we want to make sure that we have things that address your fall detection, sensory issues, mobility issues, all that. So we have one product, which is a personal emergency response system, or medication and management for immediate assistance. So this is going to be the help I've fallen and I can't get up sort of situation. Product 2 that I think is really important, and one of more of the essential ones, is smart home automation. Basically, this is for convenience, it's comfort, and it's also energy efficiency. Believe it or not, there's actually products that you can put onto like your hot water heater that will keep the temperature at a certain amount. You can put on automatic shutoffs for your stoves. So say you have a loved one who has cognitive issues, and sometimes they leave the stove on or they try to use the stove when we're really not safe to do so. There's actually ECHM and smart tech that can help with that, that can block the ability to use certain kitchen appliances, things like that. Product 3, I really, really like wearable health monitoring devices. This is great for tracking your steps, tracking your calories, making sure that you're monitoring how high your heart rate goes and how low it might go, especially if you have cardiac issues. I love the fact that the health app on like iPhone, I'm an Apple user, it integrates almost everything, and I can even include it into some of my like food tracking apps if I'm on like my macros or I'm trying to take care of my health that way. I love that there's online fitness apps, even things like that, that incorporate your iWatch or your Fitbit or whatever your other wearable device are, because it just kind of gives us a fuller picture, more than we could ever give a doctor or anyone else in that 7 minutes that we end up with them before we're kicked out the door, because that's the way that the healthcare world works. What I also enjoy with ECHM right now is there's telemedicine and virtual health platforms. I don't know about any of you, but I have Aetna and they just introduced this new like teledoc situation, and I love it. I have specialists that I see regularly, but I don't really have a primary care doctor and I don't really ever need one. But this teledoc one has been great for that occasional like sinus infection. It's sort of like a CVS minute clinic situation, but it's provided by my insurance, so it ends up being free. So love it. I don't know. I think other insurances are doing it. I know Amazon's getting into healthcare world right now. CVS is expanding some of their doctor stuff, but that telemedicine piece is really helpful, especially for people in rural areas. We're lucky in the Philadelphia area that we have like 5 different trauma hospitals. And if something goes wrong, you're probably only about no more than 20 minutes to the next hospital. But when you're out in the middle of like Altoona, Pennsylvania, it could be 45 minutes before you can get to a hospital. Or if you're in the middle of Alabama, it could be hours before you're at a trauma hospital, in which case that telemedicine can help manage a lot of not emergency things, but things that need a more immediate response. I also love that there's these cognitive fitness apps and brain training games. There's even one, if the videos work later, that can actually train your hearing and can reduce tinnitus or tinnitus, however you guys say it. I think it's really cool. I think that there's emerging research on a lot of these cognitive fitness apps, but even if they're not working, it could help entertain you and it could be something fun to do. It can just be an activity of daily living for you. But I do think that they can help a lot with people who are hoping to improve their cognition. So let's see now. I don't see any questions in the chat box, but if anybody has some, please feel free to put them in. Otherwise, I'm going to start reviewing a few of my favorite products and some products that I've never used, but I've just learned about and I'm so excited about. So let's go on to the next slide. And then Katie, this is one of the ones that has a video. So the bottom picture is actually a video, but this is a MedMinder and it is awesome. It's a pharmacy mail service. I've had a couple clients who use it. It sends reminders, it lights up, it can be remotely activated. It really helps with your independence, especially if you're someone like me, who I honestly forget to take my meds a lot. And by the end of the day, when I have to go renew my meds at the end of the month, I'm like, whoops, I have too many pills. So it happens to all of us, but MedMinders can be really cool. And then let's see if we can play the video. Hopefully it works.
I'm trying. I don't see any. It's not even showing the little play button, right?
Yeah, I know in the beginning, unless you say enable content, it might not let you.
I did click that and
Oh.
share sound. So
Of course. That's okay. What I can do I think, Katie, when you send all of this out, what I can do is include some links for you. And if you want to put whatever that email is, that way people can watch it on their own. Basically, it shows you how easy it is. It comes in a full capsule. So everything's all together. You just kind of like lift up the thing, you put in the meds, you close it, and then it's activated. What's nice about this is that caregivers who are far away, maybe they live an hour or two, maybe they're in a completely different state, they can get alerts if you allow it to let them know, hey, you took your meds. So that way they kind of know that you're on your routine, everything's going well. But if you've missed 3 or 4 days, maybe they want to call in on a wellness check and find out why, what's going on. Are you on the ground, and nobody knows it? Or did you just like forget? So it's really nice. And I believe that MedMinder also connects to your phone and it can send you reminders. So if that's something that works for you, it's a really, really great way to take away that cognitive load of remembering your medications. And I don't know about you, but a lot of my clients are on like 15 or 16 different medications, and there's taking, 7 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, 1 at night, but then 1 right before bed. So the MedMinder really helps you with this. We can go to the next one. And I have a feeling that none of my videos are going to work.
I wonder, Dawn, maybe if I stop sharing and try again.
Yeah, do you want to try?
Yeah, let's see if we
Try
can.
that.
We'll try one more time. Let's see.
It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, it would be nice to see it. Okay, it does say. Can you see it, Dawn?
I can. There's just the black box where I'm assuming your control bar is.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I don't
Oh, it's okay.
maybe if I move down here. I don't know how to get that.
It's fine.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I wish.
I'll do my best to explain it.
Okay, thanks.
Everyone watching, we apologize. See, this is one of those issues where technology is great, then it doesn't work, and then where's our support?
I know. I hope that black box goes away too. If you have any ideas, maybe I can move it.
Yeah, is that by any chance where it says like participants chat, all that?
Yes.
If you just like drag it up farther up your screen, sometimes it'll collapse.
Is that better? I moved it up.
No. Oh, yep. Well,
Okay.
at least you can see the title a little better.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right. Well, hopefully it'll go away as we move along.
Yeah. That's okay. I appreciate it. This has been a struggle to get here anyway. This fits. Okay, so home automation, Alexa, Apple Home, Google Home. These are one of my favorite products to recommend because you can get as involved as you want or as little as involved as you want. So for some people, it's just getting like a Amazon Echo and having it so you can go, hey, Amazon, like order my toilet paper, and then toilet paper comes to you. I personally really like it for smart plugs. So I included that picture here. It's as simple as taking a plug, plugging it into your wall, and now suddenly that entire socket can be controlled by your phone. So I just had a recent experience where, I do accessibility, I do lighting, I consider about glare and location and how easy it is to get to the light switches, but I had completely forgotten about automation because I'm young, it's fine, I'll just get up and turn on the lights. Turns out one night I was sitting there, I had all my workout on my lap. My dog had just been sick, so he was cuddled up on me and I didn't want to move. And as the day went on, it got darker and darker and darker. And I was just in complete darkness because I was too stubborn to get up and move. And I was just sitting there thinking, really wish I had a smart plug right now because I could go to my phone. I could just press like living room lights and then I could continue my work. And instead, I waited until my husband came home and I made him turn the light on, but I was just about to have to get up and mess up my whole routine. So sometimes those automation things are just convenience. But when we think about it as we have mobility issues, or say you're somebody who's in a wheelchair, if we have smart home technology and you've got a phone or you've got an interface in front of you that you can just press something, you don't even need really good fine motor control, you can just press it. You can control more of your house, giving you more independence, creating more safety, and potentially requiring less caregivers to come help you. That could be the difference of it gets dark at 5 o'clock in winter and you can't get around your house because you can't see, you couldn't turn the lights on, you can't reach it because of your couch or whatever's in the way. So you have a caregiver who's been coming in at 5 and leaving at 10. But if you can control your own lights, you can maybe microwave your own dinner, you can set up some situations on your own. Maybe your caregiver doesn't need to come in till 7. Now you've saved 2 hours every day of a cost that you may not have to spend. It's in a perfect world, that's what happens. But I love these smart plugs because they can control blinds, they can order foods, they can turn on lights, they can come to a timer. It can be light timer, time timer, things like that. Also really great if you go on vacation and you just want to look like you live there still and you're not gone. You can turn on different lights at different times. Another reason I really enjoy it for my personal self is I have a dog. When we go on vacation, it's really nice to be able to control the temperature in the house because we have a smart thermostat that helps us make sure that the house is comfortable for my dog while I'm away. I love it. It's wonderful. Let's go to the next slide. So wearable devices, there are two ways to think about this. So we have Apple Watches and Fitbits, right? Those are the ones that originally came out where it kind of looks like a watch, but it can track your heart rate, your steps. Some of them are even starting to capture like your pulse rate. And if you have like an irregular arm swing while you're walking, because an irregular arm swing can indicate mobility issues, which could eventually lead to falls or injuries or other things like that. So we have those wearable devices. But we also have wearable devices that can help us if we have Parkinson's, or maybe we have some sort of motor deficit that makes it hard for us to feed ourselves. You can see in the picture here, and I'm glad I included the picture in the video because it doesn't seem like the videos are going to work. But this is actually a device, and there's two different brands here, SteadyWear and Gyro Gear, that are both working to develop like gloves or something that you can put onto your body that is relatively low profile. So like that looks a little funky, but honestly, I'd wear that in a restaurant if it meant that I wasn't spilling stuff all over me because my hand's tremoring and I can't control it. You may also notice that there's really cool like spoons that your hand can be going crazy, but the spoon itself will stay steady. That is also used in like videography. So that's how we get really cool shots in movies where the person can be moving all around, but the camera stays still. They took that same technology for videos and they actually turned it into silverware. It's really cool that this stuff exists because now you can feed yourself, or you might be able to feed yourself more items. Maybe you avoided soup, but now you can have soup yourself. Things like that create that independence, help make people feel like they are themselves and they're not some like person who needs to be babied. That is one theme that a lot of my clients say. They're like, I'm not a baby. You're not. But when you have to accept help from someone, you can feel like a child again. So some of this technology is giving us back our independence and allowing us to live the life that we want to and we were meant to live. So let's go to the next one. This is the one I really wish this video was working because this was the cool one that can help train your hearing to reduce ringing in your ears. So ringing in the ears is sometimes something that happens from medications. And it also can happen just from age, or maybe you have hearing deficits from the get-go. So what they say, and per the company, is that it's an evidence-based mobile app that delivers inaudible sound therapies designed to maintain and strengthen your hearing while providing relief from tinnitus. I always say tinnitus, but I don't think that's the right way to say it. By stimulating the cells inside your ears. And they claim it's like physical therapy for your hearing. Now, this is one of those things that they're claiming evidence-based. As a consumer myself, I would go, sure, what does that actually mean? But it could be really fun because even if the placebo effect works and you feel like the hearing and the ringing in your ears has gone down, great. Because I don't know about you, but I have it as a side effect from medications. And sometimes it will take hours for me to be able to fall asleep because all I hear is the ringing in my ears. It's exhausting. It's annoying. And so to have something that could potentially make me feel less of that, wonderful. Also, they made claims, I think, that people who are just starting to lose their hearing using this app helped them put off having to use a hearing aid for a while. So really cool company, kind of brand new. They've been around for a little while, but they're just starting to get out and about. So audio cardio, it's called. Kind of love it. Why not? All right, let's go to the next one. All right, so again, this is another one that I will make sure that this video link is for you because LEQ is really fascinating and they have been developing this for a while. It's a little robot that, isn't so big, but it looks like it has a head and it's got lights. And it uses AI and auto talking back to help combat loneliness. So there are a lot of clients that they don't get to see people, right? They're trapped in their homes for various different reasons, or maybe they can't drive. So even though they're physically able to do stuff, maybe the driving part makes it impossible for them to get out. And they're lonely. There's no one to talk to. TV can only do so much for so long before you start to feel a little sad, right? So LEQ's whole point is to try and help with that. It can cue you in simple exercises. It can ask you questions about your day. I believe that it can get connected to family as well. And so family can send you messages and you can hear the voice message through the robot. The video here claims that a lot of seniors kind of feel like LEQ ends up being their friend because if that's their only interaction and whoever they can have a conversation with, it's kind of cool. I don't know. people have mixed feelings about it. Some people are a little creeped out by a robot living in their house. That's totally fine too. But for people who are really interested in it, just know that some of these technologies exist out there. Let's go to the next one. Okay, so Neighbor Force is not necessarily a technology or device that's in your home. It's more of an app and a new business opportunity in a way. So Neighbor Force has been trying to develop a network of people who can create and support you while they're doing help around the home. Maybe they're helping with errands, rides around town, and at the core, it's all about connection. If anybody has a virtual village near you, that's a really cool technique or concept that exists where a bunch of older adults and seniors sort of agree to volunteer with each other. So maybe someone who has better physical abilities will help somebody who's a little bit more physically challenged, or somebody who really likes to talk may go around and visit a whole bunch of people who are feeling kind of lonely. So Neighbor Force has taken that idea of a virtual village and turned it into a service for people in a bunch of different places. So I have a lot of seniors and a lot of clients who are perfectly fine to live at home. They're completely independent. They do not need a caregiver, but man, managing trash and mowing their lawn, that is the hardest thing to find. So they hire a landscaper, but the landscaper doesn't want to come every Wednesday night and take their trash out for them. And so that ends up being like the missing piece. And they end up spending a lot of time and changing their routines. I had one client wouldn't go shopping as much. She cooked a little less. She was actually losing nutrition because she couldn't take the trash out. So she didn't want to make trash. Neighbor Force is something that may actually help that client. I recently discovered them in the last 2 weeks, and I haven't had a chance to use them myself. So this is not an endorsement on any of these products. It's more just letting you guys know that things like this exist out here. There's a possibility that even within Friends Life Care, they have resources in your area to help you figure out how can we fill in those little gaps, because you might not need a caregiver, but we might need a little bit of help. Again, you have vision issues, your hearing's gotten worse, you just can't drive anymore, but you're fully independent in your neighborhood, but you just can't get to that specialist in Center City, or you can't drive that hour and a half because you live in the country. Neighbor Force could be something that helps you out. So just wanted to bring that one up for you. All right, let's go to the next one. So how do we purchase age tech, smart tech, all of this stuff that I keep bringing up? The key here is to research and really read your reviews. I said earlier, you just want to make sure that you are maybe not getting the first version of everything. That's just my personal experience, because sometimes that first version has a lot of problems. But if you're somebody who's open to giving feedback to a company and working with them and growing with a company while they go, then by all means do your stuff. But I always like to say research and read the reviews. What are other people, maybe in your same age group or your same mobility abilities, what are they saying? Especially when you're looking at seniors and you're looking for something to age in place, you really want to find out how the actual population likes it. Grab bars can be lovely, but when they're developed by somebody who's 23 or someone who has no mobility issues, they could be missing key features, and reading reviews can help you figure that out. Also, seek a demo or trial versions. A lot of companies will let you do, a 30-day trial, or if you order something from Amazon, Amazon has pretty good return policies, but keep in mind that you have to return it in a certain point. So if you're going to sort of hack the system and create a trial experience, understand when the return dates are, or else you're stuck with it. A lot of companies will offer free trials, or they will actually have someone come out to teach you how to use the product. That's a great way to do it. Again, there's also those companies that exist, like Quincy might be able to help you out, or even there are professionals who do home automation. They might be able to trial some products with you to let you see whether or not you like it. The other thing is asking that expert advice. So whether that's the company, because they do have experts and they are experts on their own stuff, or whether you hire a third party that helps you sort of prioritize within your home, because there are a lot of products out there. So if you go on to Amazon or you go onto Google and you Google one thing like raised toilet seats even, right? You're going to get hundreds of options. How do you know what features you might need? So sometimes having a third party come in and just be like, listen, you don't need to worry about this part. You're okay here. Here's your solution. But I do want you to focus on this part. So for example, I might tell someone when they go in, they're like, I want automation everything. And I'm like, well, your biggest issue is this, this, and this. So why don't we actually just focus on the auto lights and auto medication reminder and this like fancy pharmacy? You don't need to spend the money on all of this other stuff because you don't need it yet, right? So sometimes having that third party help you narrow down your focus can be really helpful. Mostly it's just making sure that you have the tech support. I think the tech support part is the part that's missing the most. A lot of people purchase things, install it, it works for 6 months, stops working, they don't know who to call, and you get into that process where, you know, Amazon tech support can't help you because it's the product, but the product says, well, since you purchased it from Amazon, washed off our hands, we can't do this for you. So really be mindful where you buy it from and what kind of support comes with it as well. So this is a quick little presentation. ECHM, I could talk about it for hours upon hours, but we've already been doing it for about 45 minutes. So I do want to take a moment. I did not see any questions come through, but I can't believe people don't have any questions right now. So if we want to take a couple minutes and give you all an opportunity to pop that in, I would love to answer them.
That would be great. Thank you so much. And while people are putting in their questions, maybe I could just answer a little bit of the one about Quincy.
Yes, please.
So that my coworker worked really, really hard on that. I just know a little bit about it, but I will share some information. We are offering a membership with them where our members get 20 minutes a month for free with them. You can call this phone number here. I can put this in the chat. I think there's also a link. I could send you the website. I could put that in the chat as well. But I think about how much gets accomplished in 20 minutes. I know I help a lot of my family members with tech things, and sometimes it's just a quick call. I say, you know, you need to push this button or things like that. You need to move this over there. Or so I think a lot can get accomplished for everyone in 20 minutes. And like Dawn pointed out, if you're going to go the route of age tech, having support is really important.
Yeah, I agree. And I know one of the questions was whether Quincy will supply tech support for age tech. And I think it depends probably on what your question is. So if it's like an installation question, I don't know that they can do that on the phone. But if it's a, how do I turn it on, or it's not connecting to the internet, I'm pretty sure they can help with that. So I think it's a fluid answer on that one on how much they can support, but I think it depends kind of what your product is, what your problem is, and whether they need eyes on versus they can just do it virtually.
Right, right. So you talked about the medication kind of reminders. Are there any other products that you think keeping people at home independently are really helpful, really exciting, anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the other piece that I really love is wearables. So a lot of people don't want to have like that personal emergencies like piece that looks like one of those. So I actually love the dual purpose of like an iWatch because they actually have fall detection on there. So if you turn that on and you can actually set it up that it won't immediately call the emergency department, it can just call a family member or a trusted loved one. So I think that some of those products that look really, really low profile, but have this dual purpose, those are the most exciting for me right now. Because it just kind of, it opens up a world of possibility where you don't need to scream to the world, I need help, because nobody wants to look like a target or anything like that. So those are my exciting ones. And I think that the medical pharmacy is because medication management is the biggest thing. Whenever I walk in and I see a pile of medication bottles, I'm like, oh, someone's not taking something or they don't understand their medications. So those online pharmacies that offer that pharmacological like responses to do like the med checks and things, I think those are also really exciting.
Right. I see a lot of Quincy questions, which is great. I mean, we timed, I didn't even mean to time this presentation, but it happened so well. So again, I know a little bit. I saw my coworker sent me a little message. I can read to everyone about this as well. But this question is Quincy support available for more than one device? And she wasn't able to find any FAQ about it. My understanding is that, so you'll do a setup call with them, which is FLC is my coworker's answering the questions here. So yes, FLC would cover that setup, and then you'll have that 20 minutes per month you could call in for whatever. You might call in and say, I got this email. Do you think this is a scam? Some other things I saw that they offered, you might call and say, I want to set my Amazon Alexa up with medication reminders, those type of things. So yes, Carol, to answer your question, they can help with more than one device. And I see another question, what would pricing be after the free 20 minutes that Friends Life Care is providing? So I believe that there are different tiers, but I know that there is an unlimited tier. So if you wanted unlimited tech support after that free 20 minutes a month, it's $19.99 a month. But there are other options too. So, you know, $20 a month for unlimited tech support, if that's something you need. But if you just need something quick, yeah, that 20 minutes might be really helpful. Okay, great. Yes, somebody's helping me answer the questions here too. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's Eve. Hey.
So I guess we'll give another minute if you have any age tech questions for Dawn. I want to remind everyone, Dawn is a great resource for us. Your Friends Life Care coordinators have access to these wonderful resources that we can reach out to. We have occupational therapists on staff. So a lot of what Dawn does, we can either ask Dawn or we can do some of that ourselves.
Yeah.
I see somebody's raising a hand. If you could put your question in the Q&A, that would be great. It's a little different. It's not a Zoom meeting, so I can't put you on camera here, but we'll see if her question comes up. Anything else, Dawn, that you kind of wanted to share while we wait?
I think that covered it all. I kind of kept it really general today because I know that this might be one of the first topics. So if anybody does have feedback and you want to go like farther into something, let us know. I'm happy to come back and do an additional one. I feel like today was a little bit of level setting and a little bit of like, here's things that exist. So
Right. I see someone else raising their hand. So let me see if I can just,
I know, can we give them
I'm
that?
going to see if I can unmute them. Okay, so I'm going to unmute you and you should be able to ask your question and then I can return you back to the audience. So let's see. If you just click unmute, you should be able to ask. Okay, you're unmuted. Oh, you're muted again there.
Hello, do you have my sound?
Hello, we can hear you. Yes, what's your question?
Yes, firstly, I want to thanks to you. I'm a PhD student in occupational therapy and I pleasure your voice. I want to know that what the connection between your presentation and the rehabilitation.
Between our presentation and what?
Rehabilitation, occupational therapy for geriatric. I want to know about connection between them.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'm going to remove you here. And then Dawn, it was a little choppy for me. So
yeah, same. I think what I understood was what is the connection between occupational therapy and age tech in this presentation, correct? Right. So that's what I'm going to answer. Hopefully it was the question that I heard. There is a huge connection because what occupational therapists do and what, Friends Life Care is trying to do as well is to help people age where they want to. So occupational therapists, traditionally, we help people engage in their daily activities. So for some people, it's bathing and dressing. For some, it's getting back to golfing. For others, it's just being able to live their life the way that they want. Now, when you can't live your life the way that you want, what a lot of rehab professionals will do is try to find solutions that work for you. So that's where the age tech piece comes in. So for example, I really do like the blinds example. So I'm sorry, I just keep coming back to it. I just feel like it's a really tangible one to explain this. I will sometimes go to a client who recently had a hip surgery and they're having a harder time moving around. So as a rehab professional, I may teach them how to redress themselves and do all of that. But overall, their movement isn't super great and it's just going to take months to heal. So what I may also suggest is how home automation can take some of those requirements away from them. So they don't have to walk all around the house to find their lights, their blinds, and all that stuff because we've automated that part of their routine. That means that they can save their energy to do the things that they more readily want to do. Hang out with friends. They want to shower by themselves. They don't want a care attendant, things like that. So that's where the age tech and the rehab sort of combine together because sometimes the age tech is the solution to whatever the deficit is that you're having in your daily life. So hopefully I answered that.
Yeah, that's a fabulous answer. I see you're raising your hand. I'm going to try to bring you in here. You should be able to unmute yourself. And we'll see. Hello.
Yeah, just a question about hearing impairment and how you think about that, how to deal with it.
How to use age tech to kind of help solve that. So
Yeah.
a lot of what I do with age tech then is I do a lot more visual supports. So when someone can't hear the medication reminders, then it's thinking about what products exist that have blinking lights or can vibrate to your phone or give you some other type of sensory input to compensate for the fact that hearing is not as reliable. So for me, sometimes even the smart tech is getting one of those doorbells that lights up instead of just make sounds, because sure, you can raise it up, but some people are never going to hear even at the highest level of those really cool bells. And they have ones that can, bright light up and really like flashy lights. They could just light up consistently. And that all depends on what your sensory processing is like and preferences. So when it comes to hearing, it's a lot of utilizing the other senses to help compensate.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
I do not see any other questions. As always, feel free to reach out after this presentation. If there's something that came up, I know Dawn would be open to giving us some more answers. We will get those videos out to you as well as the recording of this within the next 48 hours. And next month, our topic is with Dr. Deborah Kahn on polypharmacy. So if you're taking a few different medications and you kind of want to explore how to stay as healthy as possible, please stay with us for that. But Dawn, thank you so much for being here with all the craziness you have going on. I know it was a little choppy, but we made it work. So thank you for being with us.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. And I apologize if it was a little awkward. I'm traveling and the storms messed me up. So that's what we're talking about. So I was supposed to be back home presenting, but here I am in a hotel room.
She is stuck. She is stuck, but she made it for us. All right. Well, thank you all, and we will see you again next month.